Hi, this is Carrie at wooingnature.live. Hope everything is good. Where am I now? On Gemini's tail. Gemini, how y'all doing today? Hope everything is good. Hope you're well. I'm going to reach into my bag of tricks and I'm going to pull out a couple of sets of cards and we're going to get started on this reading for March 2020. March is coming in like a lion, as they say. This is the month of spring, and energetically and astrologically it is coming in like the lion, and the lion is a focus on abundance and harvest, specifically harvest. Let me not use the word abundance, let me say harvest, because harvest implies that you have planted some seeds and now they're growing. And if you have planted and you've tended your soil and you've watered properly and you've stepped off and you've allowed the thing to grow, then you should be expecting a harvest. And so it talks about the moon, which comes in, the full moon that comes in on March 9th, is talking more or less about how you need to see that and how you need to experience that. And the idea is that you experience it before it actually happens, which is actually a Native American thing. You know, Native Americans talk about celebrating the harvest before the harvest actually comes in. So that's what you should be doing for the month of March, and that's everybody, that's in general. So I wanted to share that information with you, Gemini. And because there is talk about harvest, and we relate harvest to abundance and to money and to wealth and that kind of thing, I do want to pull from the Law of Attraction cards today, money and the Law of Attraction cards, just to see where your mindset is for March, Gemini, and what you need to be focusing on, or how you need to be thinking about this harvest period and about this harvest time. So I'm going to be pulling a card from that deck, and then I'm going to jump into the Sun and Moon Tarot for the rest of your reading for the month, just because the moon is so strong and is coming in with a lot of really powerful energy. So we want to tap you in there. All right, so this is the card that came up. It says, I can set my own standards for financial well-being. And there's somebody else in the zodiac has this card too. I'm impressed by this because it looks like a key to me when I first look at it. Intuitively, it reminds me of a key. And at the top of the key, there is an eye, which means that you have your eye on the prize. You have the eye on what it is that you have been doing. It implies focus, because you see how the eye is kind of narrow. So narrowing your focus, and that is a part of the building, because if you look closer at the card, it's not a key at all. It's actually a column, and at the top of the column is an orb, or the eye, or whatever, whichever way you want to think about it. So if you're thinking about building building on an idea, or building something, or it could be a structure, it could be a house, it could be an idea, it could be you. Either way it goes, you are working toward building a better structure, or building better structure, and you have the key to that. Now, the key is setting your own standards for financial well-being. And so those standards are not the same standards as everybody else. It might not even be the same standards of the society that you live in. It could also stray from the standards that your family or that your parents may have instilled in you about money, but you need to examine that, and you need to think about what are your standards, Gemini, for financial health and for financial wealth. So I'm going to read the back of this card, because there's some additional information back here, another that will deepen your connection and your relationship to the information. It says, once you are able to achieve and constantly maintain your personal alignment, very key, a great deal of money will flow into your experience if that is your desire. And remember, our desires, we have to examine your desire. You have to examine your desire, because that is a part of setting your own standard. Your desire is really shaping what you have and what you don't have. It says, do not let others set the standards about how much money you should have, or about what you should do with it, for you are the only one who could ever accurately define that. Come into alignment with who you really are, and allow those things to flow into your experience that life has helped you know what you want. So life has helped you, or life is helping you know what it is that you want, and you already internally know what that is. That's your spirit. Your spirit is guiding you every step of the way. So if you've been running into some roadblocks as far as your financial well-being is concerned, then you really have to look within and say, okay, who am I and what am I here to do? What is my position? And then how does that apply to the money I want, the status I want, and where I see my financial well-being in terms of that, in terms of the self, not separate from yourself, but a part of the total well-being, a part of your total picture. Okay. All right. So I am going to move right into the Sun and Moon Tarot, and this is the deck that I normally use for the full moon and the new moon readings. I really enjoy working with this deck. It's quite whimsical and childlike, and there's always images of the moon. And since the moon is coming in so strong in the month of March with some really great lessons, if you want to check out what the specific astrological implications are for the full moon, that's already up and loaded. So just look in the playlist, new and full moon readings, I think, or new and full moon view, or look for the full moon view for the month of March. And that goes a lot deeper into the astrology of that moon. But anyway, and if you decide that you need to do a personal full moon reading to connect all the dots, then you can reach out to me. My information is in the description box below. All right, so let's see what we have for Gemini here. I think I'm gonna pull out my cloth because I have a feeling that these babies are gonna fly. They usually do. All right, so information for Gemini for the month of March. Information for Gemini month of March. All right, so we've got a Four of Cups in reverse. The Four of Cups upright indicates luxury or having luxury, but it is in reverse. And in this image, I see that there is an idea, there is a concept that you have. There is something brewing in your mind right now that is going to represent wealth for you, or health for you, or wellness, or that sense of luxury. And again, we're talking about not defining or not allowing somebody else's definitions to define how you see your financial well-being. When we're talking about finances, your financial well-being may also be attached to your sense of what luxury is. It could be luxury items, it could be trips, it could be a certain kind of lifestyle that you want to live that is attached to a dollar amount. And that dollar amount, you can find out what that dollar amount is. Just break down what it is, how it is that you want to experience life luxuriously. And again, everybody else's luxury is different. Everybody's idea of luxury. For some people, luxury is fine clothes and shoes. For some people, they want to have a garage full of cars. For other people, they just want to travel. And for some people, luxury is the luxury of being able to rest. So just think about what that is, and think about what you would have to do in order to attain that. Because again, this card did come in reverse, which means to me that you're still examining that, or you're still contemplating, or you probably haven't quite gotten to where you want to be with that, Gemini. All right, let's see what else we have. Clarification or additional information for Gemini. All right, we have the Seven of Cups here. It says debauch. I don't know what debauch is. The card doesn't really look like debauch to me at all. It's Seven of Cups. Usually with the Seven of Cups, there's a lot of choices that are presented to you, and you have to decide what it is that you truly, really want. Sometimes we put out in the universe what it is that, desire, or desire is just kind of loosely running around. And with this card, luxury, that may be happening. You may not have narrowed it down, which is why it's coming in reverse. But here, what happens with the Seven of Cups is that it might all start coming at you at once, and now you've got to really decide. So that's why it's important to get clear. It's important to get clear about why, what it is you want and why it is you want it. and not sort of get your mind confused or stayed on somebody else's vision, but your own vision, because it'll just bring all of that to your table, which seems great at first, you know, especially when you get a whole lot coming at you and you like, wow, this is exciting. It's exciting until the things that come with it end up in your lap, and now you're stuck with a whole lot of management, or you're having to figure out, well, what am I going to do about all this, or I don't have enough hands to handle all this, or I don't have the mind space for it, that kind of thing. So I would say this card is just to, before you plunge in, before you are sort of inundated with everything that could come your way, that you just want to take a moment and think about that. But that's not I don't know. Like I said, it's debauchery, but the Seven of Cups is usually about having to make choices and pick and choose between the things that are good for you and the things that are not good for you, which maybe that's why it implies debauchery. I don't know. I usually don't pay that much attention to the words at the top, not unless they jump out at me. All right, so we've got change here, and the change is represented by the Two of Pentacles, which means balance, balance in the physical world. And again, this goes right along with this card here, because if you're not clear, then you won't have balance. And then when you have to make choices, you may end up making choices that are not as good for you as they could be if you're clear. When you're not clear, you make choices, and then the choices just end up doing what they do, which means, okay, well, this was a good one and that wasn't, and you end up having to toss it out. It's a trial and error, which is what life is anyway, so that's okay. But what we want to do is just kind of narrow down. Again, this goes back to narrowing down the choices, bringing it down to one or two things so that you can balance. And if you got two things, that's easier to balance than 5 or 7. Okay, so life is calling to you to balance out. Could be work home, could be yin yang, could be male and female energy within your own body, within your own thinking. But it's definitely affecting you on the material plane, meaning in your physical life. You could be tired. You could have sleepless nights. You could be, working a lot and not having enough time to yourself to kind of regroup and rethink, and that affects your reaction or your reactive response to things. But you definitely want to bring some balance there, because balance is everything. Balance is health. Balance is wealth on all levels. If you are emotionally balanced, mentally balanced, physically balanced, and spiritually balanced, and all of that is working together, then you're usually in a good place. Healthy, physically healthy, and mentally healthy, and emotionally healthy. So we always reach for balance. Balanced lifestyle means a healthy lifestyle. All right, what else do we have for Gemini for the month of March? Things for them to think about, ponder, and consider for the month of March, going into the month of March. Anything else for Gemini to consider? All right, so we've got the Justice in reverse in the upright position. I also see that element of balance there. As you can see with the Justice card, the balance is between a heart and a feather, and this comes from the tradition, an Egyptian tradition, and Ma'at. Ma'at holds the feather, and your heart in a balance. Is said that when you pass over to the other side, she weighs your heart with a feather, and if your heart is as light as the feather, then you pass through to the other side. So if we bring that back to the physical life, then we're talking about a different form of balance again, and this balance means that your heart can't be so heavy. So if you are burdened, if you are struggling, if your heart is heavy, if there are things that you need to get off your chest, if you haven't said you loved somebody that you loved, or if you haven't expressed your true feelings, whether those are positive or negative feelings, to the person that you need to, it's time to unload the burdens of your heart. It's time to unload that. And as you unload that and lighten up, it will bring the balance that you're looking for there. Again, that card Justice came in reverse, which tells me that there is still some work to be done around that. All right, let's see. And again, in this card, we see the yin and yang at the top. masculine and feminine energies. By masculine and feminine, we mean your expressive versus your recessive traits and tendencies. So if you have a tendency to speak out all the time, then you may need to learn how to listen more. If you have a tendency to be withdrawn, or you have a tendency to not say anything, then you may need to speak out more. And again, I feel like there's some expression there. There's something that's weighing on your heart. It may be time to be more masculine or more expressive in your actions, in your behavior. All right, so we have the Two of Swords, which seems to bring peace. That card at the top. After I got finished saying, I don't look at the words, all the words are popping up. All right, so peace. If you want to find peace, you have to make a decision. This goes right back to what we were saying about all these choices. It goes back to really knowing what it is that you want, what that picture looks like for you. Because there's some choices. Again, this is choices that have to be made, and you're going to have to really get still about it, Gemini, so that you can decide. And you know, Gemini, you guys are the masters of two. So, you know, this is your domain. You just have to take a moment and actually do it. You have to just take a moment and actually do it. Okay. So decisions need to be made to bring balance back to your life, to take some of the weight and the heaviness from your heart, lighten up a bit. All of that is a part of work-life balance. You just gotta, you know, bring the inner child back into your spirit and allow that to move you forward. Okay. All right. Anything else for Gemini for the month of March? Not a bad month. Just some decision making that has to be done. Some time out for yourself and some good decision making, and I think that would be good. And then look what we have. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles means that that going back to the harvest, when we talked about harvest at the beginning of the reading, this harvest is it's whatever you imagine it to be. It's whatever you want it to be. And I think it's really important, not just for you, Gemini, but for a lot of people, to think about what they truly, truly want, what their heart wants and what their spirit wants, because I think what we've done in the past few years is kind of get caught up in other people's vision of that, or feeling some kind of way because you can't attach to it, or maybe you've been trying to achieve that end and that end isn't coming for you. It's because it's not aligned with your purpose. And that brings us all the way back to the very first card about setting your own standards for yourself. So I am going to close on that note with you, Gemini. If you want to get your personal full moon reading, I would highly recommend it this month, because the moon energy is so important, I think, for everybody. So I would recommend that. Also, if you want to take a look at what's going on, if you don't feel like you're in alignment and you're trying to get in alignment, I also recommend the Kabbalah reading. That's really helpful in determining like what your spiritual center is and how it manifests on the earth. I think that's a really good reading to do. Check out the full moon view and check back in with me next month in April when I will do this reading again just for you. As always, I hope you have a great day and I hope you're having a wonderful life.